Hello everyone, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. In this video, we will be doing another 10-part mission. And that 10-part mission will be 10 parts to Moho. Yes, you heard me right, I will be flying a rocket with only 10 parts all the way to Moho. And I hope it bloody works. This is all in vanilla, KSP 0.25. I will also attempt to get back to Kerbin, but I probably won't be successful. So let's go on to the video. Okay, so here is the rocket being built. It's a fairly good rocket considering it only has 10 parts. Instead of using the jet engine that I used in the 10 parts of Dres mission, I decided to use a rocket engine. And this is because the new NASA parts are very good. They're very good indeed. And they have a lot of fuel, so I thought that this would easily get me into orbit. So then when I started making the lander, I tried to make the two tanks as kind of landing gear almost, but I couldn't work out how to do that effectively. So instead I just made a thing that falls over on landing. Now here's the launch, 1x speed here. This is real time, and it launches very quickly. I probably should have toned down the thrust a bit. Now we're in a lot faster speed, and yes, I do turn down the thrust. Launching gravity turn there. I did the gravity turn a bit late, I think. So now we'll use the nuclear engine. Having to point almost straight up to not fall down. So if it had a bit more thrust, it would be a lot more efficient. So if I do another mission, I'll have to consider that. And getting into an orbit right now. Circularizing. The fight against gravity is not very easy if you're using a nuclear engine. Even though gravity is like a stupidly weak force. There, a good orbit. Now burning off to go interplanetary. Now this burn is not completed on this orbit. I will go around once more and complete the burn, just so it's more efficient than if we just do it in one pass, because of the O-berth effect. So going away from Kerbin now. Now an inclination change, so that we're on the right inclination to get an intercept with Eve. And why are we going to Eve, you may ask? Because I want to get a slingshot around Eve just to make it a lot more efficient. So go in super time warp mode, and we're just going to try and see when the best time to get to Eve is. Now we're just changing our orbit a bit. And Eve intercepts. Let's do the burn, and we've now got an Eve encounter. Now, by this point, I was very pessimistic about getting to Moho, so I then changed my orbit to go to Dres, did a burn, and then decided, actually Moho, I could make it to Moho, and kept changing my mind, so eventually I decided Moho. Yep. And now we have got an orbit going down to Moho. As you can see, we're coming down towards Eve. Still coming down towards Eve. Still coming down towards Eve. And I suddenly remember that I set my altitude to 70 kilometers, and that is lower than Eve's atmosphere stops. So I have to burn outwards so that I don't end up falling into the atmosphere and slowing down and then crashing onto Eve. Because this nuclear engine, it has pretty much no chance of landing on Eve. No way would it be able to land on Eve. But now we're going past Eve. The atmosphere shader, it goes a bit green, and I'm not quite sure why. I'll have to look that up. But I just think that's strange considering purple and green are pretty much on the opposite end of the colour spectrum. Now we're doing a burn to get our descending mode, or is it ascending mode? I'm not sure. On the same, on the plane of Moho's orbit, like, so it intersects with Moho's orbit. I did this instead of an inclination change because they both work, just this uses less delta V, or I find that it uses less delta V. Now, a lot of spinning using the time control mod. This mod is amazing. It will be in the description. I just love the time control mod. It allows you to time warp a lot faster. Now, we do a burn. This burn is burning outwards, which may seem strange, but what's happening is Moho needs to catch up with the rocket, and instead of making Moho move faster, which I'm never going to be able to do, I decided to make the rocket orbit slower. This burn was pretty intense on the delta V, so yeah. Uses a lot of delta V for burn, but not as much as I think an inclination change would. So, yep, now we've got a Moho intercept. Just burning on very light throttle. I think I had thrust limiter on. There we go, nearly. And we just try and get as close to the surface as possible. I didn't want to risk hitting a mountain or anything, so I went a bit further out than I thought was necessary. Now we're just doing a burn to circularize in orbit around Moho. And I'm using the time control mod, using the hyperwarp function to warp at, I believe I use 4 times speed, but having the same accuracy as at 1 times speed, which is a feature I really like. Now, more circularizing. Good time control mod, completely recommend it, 100%. Now, I'm pointing downwards because I don't want to go up too high. And there we go. Now we time warp forward a bit and more circularizing, and that's fairly circular, so we're just going to land. I didn't know at the time that the nuclear engine was powerful enough to fight gravity on Moho. I wasn't sure how much gravity Moho had, so yeah. This is the first time I've ever landed on Moho, by the way, so yeah. I didn't know what to expect, but now we're just coming into land, very careful, and we fall over. This was somewhat intentional, but somewhat unintentional as well, because I fell over, and I was intending to make the rocket fall over, but I fell over the wrong way. So, yeah. Now, we plant a flag, We reached Moho with only 10 parts, yay! Now, Jeb is just messing about. Go Jeb, keep jumping. Yay! Now, I look at the fuel bar and think, we really don't have much chance to get off here. This was so lucky that I managed to pull up like that. If Moho had any more gravity, I would have just come plummeting back down. Well, not plummeting back down, just crashing into the ground. But now we get into an orbit. And I was really skeptical, if that's a word, if that's the correct word, about my fuel level. I thought I really didn't have enough fuel, so I tried to be as efficient as possible by staying at the apoapsis. This isn't so much as a fight as getting off carbon, so yeah. Now burning out, we want to get to carbon. I really didn't think we'd have enough fuel to do this. I really didn't think we'd have enough fuel. And I was right. But Jeb being a badass, he decided to do something insane. He decided to use his EVA suit. Now, Jeb is a badass, so basically, if anyone can do this, Jeb can do it. I wasn't sure how much Delta V the jetpack had, so I was hoping it was enough to get to carbon. Hoping. Not necessarily thinking, just hoping. This doesn't look particularly hopeful. And the last drops are gone. No more EVA fuel left. And that is the conclusion of the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye everyone.